Have you ever wondered why some people seem to move through life effortlessly winning trust, closing deals, inspiring loyalty, while others, no matter how hard they try, find doors quietly closing in their face? It's not luck, it's not brute force, it's the silent mastery of an ancient skill. The art of persuasion grounded not in manipulation, but in understanding alignment and unshakable presence. In this audiobook, we won't teach you how to force others to bend to your will. Instead, you will learn something far deeper, far more enduring: how to guide conversations, shape decisions, and open hearts without ever raising your voice. Drawing from timeless principles and real-world insights, you'll uncover how true influence begins, not with clever words, but with clarity of purpose, mastery over your emotions, and the ability to see the world through another's eyes. You'll explore how to craft messages that resonate with the hidden currents of human nature, how to build trust that endures beyond the first agreement, and how to recognize the silent barriers that often stand between you and the outcomes you seek. Every strategy you'll learn here is built on one simple but powerful idea. Persuasion isn't about conquest, it's about collaboration. It's about becoming the kind of person whose very presence invites others to listen, to trust, and to act freely, willingly, and without regret. This journey is not a race to quick victories. It's a discipline, a philosophy, a way of being that will quietly transform every relationship, every negotiation, and every opportunity you encounter. Along the way, you'll find real-world examples, practical exercises and reflections drawn from those who've mastered the art of influence, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. If you're ready to move beyond tactics and into true mastery, if you're ready to shape your world with wisdom instead of force, then stay with me. What you're about to discover may not just change how you persuade others, it may change how you walk through the world itself. Chapter 1: The Art of Influence Through Stoic Mastery. Let's talk about something most people misunderstand: influence. Real influence isn't about flashy persuasion tricks or emotional manipulation. It's about understanding human nature at its core, seeing through the noise, and quietly shaping outcomes without ever forcing them. Imagine walking into any room, speaking to any soul, and guiding their choices, not because you overwhelmed them, but because you understood the current of their desires better than they did. Picture yourself earning trust effortlessly, negotiating opportunities, deepening alliances, building bridges simply because you mastered the unseen laws that govern every human heart. This isn't sorcery. It's not deceit. It's an ancient skill that Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived by: the ability to move others by mastering yourself first. In this first chapter, we will explore the true essence of influence the Stoic way, and by the end, you will understand not just why people say yes, but how to align their nature with your purpose in a way that elevates both. Every day, we are pulled toward decisions: what to buy, whom to trust, what path to take. Beneath these surface movements, there are natural forces at work, forces that quietly shape our instincts without us even realizing it. The Stoics understood these forces not as manipulations, but as aspects of human nature that, once seen clearly, could be navigated like a skilled sailor reads the wind. To influence others, you must first understand these currents: reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, social proof, and liking. These aren't tricks. They are ancient realities of how human beings, social creatures by nature, respond to their environment. First, there is reciprocity. We are wired to return what we receive. When you extend goodwill genuinely and without expectation, you plant a seed within another that compels them by the very order of nature to want to give back. It's not a manipulation, it's honoring the natural give and take that binds societies together. Like a farmer who plants and tends to the soil without demanding an immediate harvest, you must trust that the fruits of reciprocity grow in their own season. Second, scarcity. Humans do not naturally value abundance. We are drawn to what is rare, what feels exclusive, what seems fleeting. Scarcity awakens urgency. Not because we are irrational, but because we instinctively know that not all opportunities wait forever. In a Stoic sense, we must recognize that to hold something lightly, whether it is time, attention, or opportunity, is to heighten its value in the eyes of others. Third is authority. Throughout history, we have looked to those who embody mastery, wisdom, and certainty. Authority does not come from shouting louder or boasting credentials. It comes from living with such clarity and conviction that others instinctively trust your judgment. In the Stoic tradition, true authority is earned not by titles, but by the strength of your character and the discipline of your actions. Fourth is consistency. Human beings seek harmony between their words, their choices, and their image of themselves. When someone agrees to a small act, they are more likely to follow through on greater commitments, not because they are coerced, but because they wish to remain loyal to the person they believe themselves to be. A Stoic influencer understands this, not to exploit it, but to gently encourage others to walk the path they already desire to travel. Fifth is social proof. We are not as independent as we like to imagine. When uncertainty clouds our vision, we look to others. It is easier to trust what many seem to trust. This is not weakness, it is survival. It is wisdom born of countless generations who knew that isolation often led to destruction. In guiding others, highlight the footprints already carved into the path you ask them to walk. Lastly, there is liking. We are drawn to those we feel affinity toward, those who seem to see us, who resonate with our spirit. True influence is never built through domination. It is built through respect, authenticity, and shared humanity. A kind word, a sincere compliment, a quiet presence. They hold more persuasive power than 1,000 arguments. Understanding these forces is only the beginning. Stoic mastery demands more. You must practice, embody, and apply these principles with intention, without deceit, and always in alignment with virtue. Influence, when practiced rightly, is not the manipulation of others' wills. It is the harmonization of wills, the quiet alignment of needs and goals in a way that honors both parties. Consider this: if you wish to encourage generosity in another, begin by giving. Give first, not to trap them, not to demand repayment, but because generosity begets generosity. If you wish to inspire urgency, frame what you offer as a fleeting window, not through desperation, but through truthfulness. If you wish to build trust, act first with integrity and quiet competence. Project authority. Not with noise, but with unwavering stillness. Demonstrate consistency in your promises and actions so that others find safety in your word. Reflect social proof. Naturally, share stories, examples, evidence not to boast, but to light the way. And above all, be someone who is genuinely likable, honest, kind, firm, and whole. There is a profound difference between persuasion and manipulation, a distinction the Stoics guarded fiercely. Persuasion respects the autonomy of others. It seeks mutual benefit, the upliftment of both souls. Manipulation, by contrast, seeks only gain at another's expense, creating division and distrust. You must anchor yourself in virtue, be transparent in your intentions, avoid false promises, and strive always for a true meeting of needs, not the exploitation of weaknesses. This is not only how you influence without guilt, it is how you cultivate lasting respect, trust, and friendship. To refine these skills, you must practice deliberately. Begin by engaging in the reciprocity challenge. Give something small and meaningful every day without seeking anything in return. Observe what shifts. Try the social proof experiment when recommending a path. Mention how others have benefited and notice the doors it opens. Conduct an authority audit. Refine how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you present your experience without arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Remember, influence is not an external conquest. It is an internal discipline. It is the art of seeing clearly, of acting wisely, and of speaking in a way that resonates with the soul of another. When you master these forces not to control, but to serve, you move through the world like a stone tossed into water, sending out ripples farther than you ever intended, influencing not through force, but through presence. At the end of the day, getting what you want from others isn't about overpowering them. It's about understanding the ancient flow of human nature and moving within it with such grace and virtue that they willingly walk with you, not because you forced them, but because you showed them. It was the right path all along. Chapter 2. Building Rapport. Like a Stoic master. Let's talk about the silent power that turns strangers into allies and skeptics into supporters. The Stoic art of building rapport. Imagine stepping into a room full of unfamiliar faces, yet within moments, you find yourself immersed in conversations that feel effortless, sincere, and deeply connected. Opportunities arise not because you chase them, but because you draw them naturally to you. Not through tricks, not through flattery, but through the unshakable mastery of presence, attentiveness, and respect, qualities the Stoics considered fundamental to human excellence. True rapport is not manipulation. It is harmony. It is the result of living in a way that honors the shared humanity between yourself and every soul you meet. At its core, building rapport is about embodying a truth the Stoics lived by, that people are drawn not to what you know, but to how deeply you make them feel understood. No man was ever persuaded by a flood of facts, but he was often moved by the silent recognition that another truly heard him. In every conversation, a simple rule governs. People seek refuge in those who offer them respect, who mirror their spirit without judgment, who listen without an agenda. Seneca taught that we are social creatures by nature, bound by mutual need and respect. To build rapport is to honor that ancient bond. 3 pillars quietly uphold the architecture of connection: mutual attention, genuine goodwill, and shared rhythm. Mutual attention means being fully present. In a world addicted to distraction, presence is a rare and precious gift. When you look into someone's eyes and truly listen, without planning your reply, without drifting away, you grant them something few ever receive: significance. Positivity. The second pillar does not mean hollow cheerfulness. It means bringing an affirming spirit, an energy that says, "You are safe here, you are valued." Finally, coordination. The silent dance where your tone, your posture, your pace subtly align with theirs, not through mimicry, but through respect. When these forces align, trust grows naturally like a tree rooted deep in fertile ground. How then do we cultivate this? First, by mastering the art of true listening. Active listening is not waiting your turn to speak. It is surrendering your full attention. Put away your phone. still your restless mind. Observe not just words, but the silent language of the body, the tremors in a voice, the pauses between sentences. Reflect their emotions back to them, not to flatter, but to honor their experience. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "When another speaks, be ready to enter his mind. When you listen without needing to respond, you give others the rarest gift, the feeling of being seen." Second, seek common ground, not through force but through discovery. Shared humanity lies deeper than shared hobbies. Ask questions that invite people to reveal their true passions. What drives you? What brings you joy? Then listen carefully. Stoics did not waste time on shallow talk. They sought the deep currents underneath. Find the moments when your paths, your struggles, your hopes intersect. That is where trust is born. Third, honor the principle of mirroring, not mechanically, but with grace. If someone speaks softly, lower your voice. If they are exuberant, let your spirit rise to meet theirs. This is not deception, it is respect. Epictetus taught that harmony with nature is the goal of wisdom. In conversation, harmony is achieved by attuning yourself to the other person's natural rhythm, meeting them where they are without losing who you are. But connection is not forged only in comfort. It is tested in discomfort. When resistance arises, a guarded tone, a skeptical glance, do not bristle, do not mirror defensiveness. Instead, remain still. Validate their concerns, not by agreeing unnecessarily, but by acknowledging their perspective with humility. I see that this matters to you. Tell me more. In doing so, you disarm the shield of suspicion and invite honest dialogue. In moments where cultures clash, where personalities seem irreconcilable, practice the deeper Stoic virtues: curiosity, adaptability, and humility. Assume nothing. Seek to understand before being understood. If you misstep, admit it with grace. True rapport is not born from perfection. It is born from sincerity. To strengthen these muscles of connection, you must practice. Challenge yourself daily. In every interaction, practice the art of mirroring, not just posture, but presence. Offer genuine, thoughtful compliments, not about appearances, but about effort, about character, about unseen virtues. Choose one conversation each day to listen deeply without interruption, without steering, without seeking your moment to speak. You will be astonished how people open their hearts to those who make them feel valued without condition. Building rapport is not merely a technique. It is an extension of living wisely, justly, and attentively. It is a reflection of the truth that every soul longs to be seen, to be heard, to be respected. When you embody these virtues, connection becomes effortless, trust becomes natural, and influence follows not by force, but by the quiet gravity of your character. At the end of the day, mastering rapport is not about impressing others. It is about aligning with the eternal truth that respect, understanding, and presence are the foundations upon which all meaningful human bonds are built. Chapter 3. Crafting Irresistible Messages. Let's talk about the true power that lies not in the force of your words, but in the spirit they carry. Think back to a moment when someone spoke, and you found yourself not merely hearing them, but feeling their words settle deep within you, stirring conviction, awakening clarity, igniting action. That is the power of an irresistible message. It is not born from cleverness or loudness. It is forged through an understanding of human nature, structured with precision, and delivered with the sincerity of a disciplined heart. In this chapter, we will explore how to craft words that move both mind and soul, the way the Stoics taught, not by commanding, but by embodying truth. Words that endure, follow a simple but profound path. They seize attention, they stir the spirit, and they leave no confusion in their wake. First, you must capture attention, not by shouting but by touching relevance. The human mind, like a wise sentinel, discards noise and welcomes only what speaks directly to its needs or its wonder. Begin with an opening that unsettles complacency, a striking question, a vivid image, a truth too bold to ignore. What if I told you that you are wasting 10 hours every week, not through laziness, but through blindness? A single provocative thought can open a mind that endless facts would leave untouched. Second, touch the heart. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that humans act not from reason alone, but from the impulses seeded in their soul. If you seek to move others, do not simply appeal to logic. Speak to what they long for: belonging, purpose, peace, greatness. Wrap your truths in stories, not fairy tales, but living examples. Share the journey of one who faced the same struggle, who stood where your listener stands now, and who found a way forward. When you tell a story, you do not merely inform, you invite others to walk a path beside you. Third, bring clarity. A message lost in complexity is like a ship lost at sea. Structure your words, simply a beginning that awakens attention, a middle that nurtures conviction, and an ending that commands action. The Stoics valued precision, not many words, but necessary words. Speak plainly enough that no one must guess your meaning. Lead them through a natural progression. Here is what ails you. Here is why it cannot be ignored. Here is the way forward. The most timeless tool for persuasion is storytelling, not because it entertains, but because it reflects life. A story brings the unseen into view and allows the listener to see themselves anew. Every compelling story follows a silent structure, the hook and opening that demands attention, the struggle, a challenge that mirrors the audience's own battles, the resolution, the quiet victory over hardship, and the takeaway, the moral flame that illuminates the path ahead. Use this structure to guide others not by force, but by resonance. If you seek a blueprint to craft powerful messages, remember the Stoic framework mirrored in problem, agitate, solve. First, name the burden weighing upon their spirit, the inefficiency, the missed opportunity, the unrest they cannot quite name but always feel. Then do not merely state it, bring its cost to life. Let them see what remains lost if it is not faced. Finally, offer your solution, not as a miracle, but as a disciplined answer forged through clarity, patience, and understanding. Yet even the most perfect message crumbles if delivered without sincerity. Authenticity is the iron beneath the velvet. Speak not to impress, but to reveal. Share your own stories, not to boast, but to lay your humanity bare. If you stumble, let it be without shame. Perfection is not what binds people to you. Honesty is. Speak as if you are speaking to a friend whose future matters to you. Match your tone to your truth. Let your enthusiasm burn when the cause is bright. Let your solemnity weigh heavy when the subject demands reverence. As you refine your craft, remember that mastery is forged through discipline, not desire. Challenge yourself with small exercises. Condense your greatest idea into a 30-second pitch, clear, compelling, unshakable. Practice telling stories from your own life where struggle gave birth to wisdom. Seek feedback, not to chase approval, but to reveal blind spots. Each word you choose, each pause you command, each breath between thoughts train them to serve a purpose. The Stoics knew that speech is not merely sound, it is the outward expression of your inner order. When you structure your words with discipline, when you deliver them with sincerity, when you aim not at admiration, but at truth, you will find that influence follows naturally. Your words will not merely inform, they will transform. At the end of the day, crafting irresistible messages is not about dazzling an audience. It is about forging a bridge between soul and soul, guided by wisdom, courage, and a heart committed to the good. Let's talk about the art. Few truly master turning conflict into collaboration, transforming tension into trust. Negotiation is often imagined as a battlefield, a clash of wills where one must dominate and the other submit. But the Stoics knew better. True. Negotiation is not war. It is a dialogue between two souls seeking equilibrium. It is a delicate balance of firmness and understanding, of clarity and patience. The wise do not enter negotiation to conquer. They enter to find a path where dignity is preserved on both sides. In this chapter, we will walk the Stoic path of negotiation, one where conflict becomes opportunity and outcomes are built on the twin pillars of respect and wisdom. Understanding the true nature of negotiation begins with a simple truth. You are not negotiating with a set of demands. You are negotiating with a human being, a being driven by hopes, by fears, by unseen pressures. It is not enough to bring facts or demands to the table. You must understand the inner world of the person before you. Marcus Aurelius taught us that we should peer behind the mask of each individual, seeing the fragile hopes that fuel them, the silent doubts that restrain them. Negotiation then becomes less about overcoming an opponent and more about aligning two sets of needs in a way that honors both. One of the greatest forces you must master is the shaping of perception. The Stoics knew that it is not reality itself that moves people, but the way they perceive it. Thus, your task is to reveal value, not through pressure, but through clarity. Frame your offers not as favors you grant, but as bridges that lead to shared prosperity. When you speak of consequences, do not threaten. Instead, let them see for themselves what opportunities might slip away if harmony is not reached. People are not compelled by fear of punishment. They are awakened by the vision of what could be lost or gained. Preparation is where battles are won long before they begin. Epictetus would insist that the wise man prepares not only his words, but his soul. Clarify what you seek, and more importantly, clarify what you will not sacrifice. Know your best alternative, your place of retreat, so that desperation never clouds your judgment. Study the other side, not as an enemy, but as a fellow traveler with his own burdens and needs. What matters to them? What wounds do they guard? What victories do they seek? With such knowledge, you enter the conversation not blind, but clear-eyed and ready. When the time for negotiation arrives, the first and greatest task is to establish an atmosphere of respect. Greet the other party as you would a guest at your table. Express gratitude for their time. Recognize their dignity. Find common ground, however small, and build upon it. The first words spoken are not weapons, they are seeds. Plant them with care. Ask, do not assume. Too many fail at negotiation because they imagine they know what the other side needs. The wise ask questions, deep, open-hearted questions that reveal the terrain of the other person's world. What would make this agreement valuable to you? What challenges must we overcome together? Listen not to reply, but to understand. True negotiation is built on the foundation of knowing. When you present your position, do so not with arrogance, but with clarity. Speak to how your offer serves their needs as well as your own. Do not bury them in numbers or dazzle them with grand promises. Speak plainly. This path will save you time. This choice will bring you peace. This decision aligns with your highest goals. Evidence strengthens your position, but the spirit of your words is what truly persuades. Objections will come as they must. Do not see them as attacks. See them as signs that the other party is still engaged. Meet objections with calmness, not with resistance. I hear your concern. Let us explore this further. Reframe doubts not as roadblocks, but as doorways into deeper understanding. In every objection lies a hidden fear, and he who soothes fear gains trust. Inevitably, you will face moments where progress halts. When stalemates arise, return to the higher ground, shared values, shared aspirations. Ask, what do we both seek to protect? What vision do we share? Invite creativity. Perhaps there is a path not yet considered. If tempers rise or the air thickens with tension, suggest a pause. A break allows reason to return where passion threatens to rule. When confronted by aggression or manipulation, remain a fortress. The Stoics knew that the only true harm comes from within, from surrendering our reason, our dignity. Let others rage if they must. You remain composed. Reframe their attacks with calm words. Allow silence to work for you. Often it is the impatient who speak first and reveal their weaknesses. And if negotiation becomes a mockery of respect, know when to walk away. He who clings to a sinking ship out of fear drowns with it. Better to leave the table with honor intact than to win at the cost of your soul. To sharpen your abilities, practice deliberately. Engage in role-play exercises where you must listen deeply, adapt swiftly, and present with unwavering clarity. Step into the mind of the other side. Argue from their point of view until you can feel their hopes and fears as your own. After every negotiation, reflect not on what you won or lost, but on what you learned about others, about yourself, about the dance between firmness and compassion. The Stoic approach to negotiation is not about trickery or domination. It is about meeting another soul with clarity, courage, and goodwill. It is about standing firm where it matters, bending where wisdom allows, and seeking outcomes that elevate both sides. When you walk into a negotiation, not to conquer, but to build, you are already victorious. At the end of the day, mastering the art of negotiation is not about claiming victory over others. It is about leading both yourself and them toward a place where reason triumphs over impulse. Respect prevails over pride, and mutual gain becomes the highest form of success. Chapter 5. Turning resistance into agreement. Let's talk about the hidden virtue of resistance. Most see no as a wall, a closed door signaling failure. But the Stoics teach otherwise. Resistance is not a barrier, it is a mirror, a reflection of fear, uncertainty, or misalignment. It is not the end of the conversation, but the beginning of a deeper understanding. Those who master the art of turning resistance into agreement do not fight harder. They listen better, they see clearer, and they speak with a wisdom that transcends mere argument. In this chapter, we will walk through how to transform objections into opportunities for trust connection and lasting influence. Understand first that resistance is rarely about what is spoken. It is almost never about the price, the timing, or the offer itself. Beneath every no lies an unseen current: fear of loss, fear of error, fear of betraying one's own values. The wise negotiator does not battle these fears, he illuminates them. When a person hesitates, they are not rejecting you, they are protecting themselves. Thus, your role is not to overwhelm them with arguments, but to uncover and address the true root of their resistance. There are three forces that most often drive resistance. 1. Fear of loss. Fear that choosing you means sacrificing something precious, money, time, reputation. Like a man hesitating before crossing a river, they wonder if the current will sweep them away. Uncertainty, doubt that the choice they make is the right one. Lacking clarity, they retreat into no for safety. As Epictetus would say, it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. 3. Mismatched values. When what you offer does not align with what they cherish most, no argument can bridge this unless you first recognize and respect the sacred ground upon which they stand. To move through resistance, adopt a mindset not of battle, but of companionship. First, acknowledge and validate their concerns. Validation is not agreement, it is recognition. If a traveler hesitates before crossing a bridge, the wise man does not scoff at his fear. He acknowledges it, examines the bridge together, and points out its strength. Second, ask clarifying questions. Do not guess what shadows haunt their mind. Invite them to reveal them. What would make you feel more secure about this decision? What concerns are most pressing for you? Questions open locked doors where arguments only pound against them. Third, reframe the objection. Show not just why their fears may be less than they seem, but how moving forward honors their deeper goals. If cost is the fear, do not belittle it. Show how the true cost lies in missed opportunities. If timing is the hesitation, show how the passage of time serves none who wait endlessly at the gate of action. Mastering resistance demands the deeper art of active listening. Listening that hears not only the words, but the tremors beneath them. Listening that recognizes when fear masks itself as logic, when uncertainty speaks through rehearsed objections. There are 4 levels of listening the Stoic persuader must ascend. 1. Hearing, catching the words as they fall. 2. Understanding, grasping the meaning they carry. 3. Empathizing, feeling the pulse behind the meaning. 4. Responding, reflecting back, understanding in a way that disarms fear and builds trust. When someone says, "I just don't think this is the right time," the untrained ear hears delay. The wise ear hears anxiety about risk, about change, about abandoning the familiar. Respond, not with pressure, but with patience. It sounds like timing is weighing heavily on you. Would you share what else is happening for you right now? Handling specific forms of resistance requires precision. I don't have time. Time is never truly the enemy. It is a question of priority. Affirm their concern. Your time is precious. I honor that. Then demonstrate how your proposal saves time or magnifies its value. It's too expensive. Money is the symbol. Value is the substance. Redirect their gaze. Yes, investment matters. What would it mean to you if this saved you tenfold in the years ahead? I need to think about it. Delay often masks uncertainty. Respect their need to reflect, but also offer clarity. Of course, are there particular questions or doubts I could help you explore while you think it over? Through all forms of resistance, never lose your composure. Do not rush to fill silences. Let stillness work for you. Let their own thoughts echo back to them. Often it is in the quiet that the soul wrestles itself into clarity. To sharpen these skills, practice deliberately. Engage in role plays where you welcome objections rather than fear them. Practice reframing, not to manipulate, but to illuminate. Reflect deeply after every encounter. What fear did I fail to see? What question did I not ask? Where did I speak when I should have listened? Above all, remember this. Overcoming resistance is not about forcing agreement. It is about earning trust. It is about helping another person walk through their fears, doubts and defenses toward a decision that feels true to them, not coerced, but chosen. The Stoic persuader understands that every no is a gift. It reveals the hidden battlegrounds of the heart. It offers a chance to build something stronger than mere compliance. It offers the chance to build loyalty, respect, and lasting influence. At the end of the day, turning resistance into agreement is not a contest of wills. It is an invitation to a shared understanding, a path lit by patience, insight, and unwavering respect for the soul across from you. Chapter 6. Advanced Persuasion Techniques. Let's talk about the invisible forces that guide human decisions. Forces so seamless and natural that the one who is moved believes the movement was entirely their own. True persuasion in its highest form is not forceful. It is artful, aligned with the very nature of human thought and longing. It is the embodiment of Stoic wisdom, understanding the current of nature and moving with it, not against it. In this chapter, we will explore the advanced techniques of persuasion tools that do not deceive but harmonize your message with the deeper instincts of those you seek to influence. First, let us speak of reciprocity, the ancient law that giving invites giving. The Stoics understood that generosity is its own power. When you offer freely, whether knowledge, assistance, or sincere attention, you awaken in others the natural impulse to respond in kind. To wield this principle well, you must give without calculation. A forced gift poisons the well. A sincere one enriches it. Imagine stepping into a meeting and offering a thoughtful insight, a well-prepared document, or even a warm compliment on someone's recent achievements. The value you sow will ripple back to you, not because you demanded it, but because you honored the social bond between giver and receiver. Second, scarcity, the realization that what is rare commands greater devotion. Seneca warned that abundance dulls desire, while scarcity sharpens it. When something is perceived as fleeting or limited, its worth magnifies in the mind. To use scarcity, ethically frame it as an opportunity, not a threat. Instead of declaring, act now or miss out, say, there are few opportunities left, and I would be honored to reserve one for you if this path feels right. Scarcity should never pressure. It should illuminate the preciousness of what is offered. It can be your product, your time, your counsel, anything truly valuable made rare by your commitment to excellence. Third, the principle of authority, the weight of wisdom earned, not demanded. True authority does not boast, it demonstrates. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. To establish authority, share your path. Tell the stories of those you have helped, the results you have achieved, and the principles you stand by. Let your posture, your certainty, your calm in the storm signal your mastery. People trust those who move not from arrogance but from experience, made humble by reflection. Evidence testimonials, data endorsements, serves as the visible armor of unseen discipline. Fourth, social proof, the human tendency to seek reassurance in the actions of others. The Stoics valued the example of the wise, not to conform blindly, but to walk proven paths toward virtue. When people see others like themselves choosing a path, it quiets their doubts and strengthens their resolve. Use this principle by sharing testimonials, success stories, and real examples. Show them not the faceless masses, but relatable figures whose journeys mirror their own numbers, can strengthen the message. Hundreds have walked this road before you, but authenticity is the heart of social proof. Yet the true master of persuasion weaves these principles together into a single tapestry. Imagine presenting a new offering. First, you demonstrate your authority through a story of hard-earned success. Then, you highlight the rare nature of the opportunity. Only a few spaces remain for those truly ready. You weave in social proof. This approach has transformed the lives of others in your very position. Finally, you extend a gift, a resource, a consultation, a personal insight inviting reciprocity, not by demand, but by spirit. To refine these skills, deliberate practice is essential. Begin with acts of reciprocity. Offer help, share insights, give without expectation. Observe how the bonds of trust strengthen in silence. Then craft statements of scarcity that illuminate rather than intimidate. This opportunity is open now, but only for those prepared to act with intent. Build your authority brick by brick. Collect stories of impact, articulate your experiences, and let your composure speak when words are few. Finally, gather social proof, not through boasting, but through genuine testimonies of those whose lives you have touched. Advanced persuasion is not a manipulation of the mind. It is a dialogue with the soul. It respects the autonomy of others while guiding them toward choices that serve their highest interests. It is the practice of aligning your will with nature's design. People act not because they are forced, but because they see, they feel, and they believe. At the end of the day, mastering advanced persuasion techniques is not about control. It is about creating a path so clear, so natural, that those who walk it believe they chose it entirely on their own, guided not by pressure, but by wisdom, by trust, and by the silent power of your presence. Chapter 7. Tailoring your approach to different personalities. Let's talk about the true art of persuasion, not just speaking with eloquence, but understanding with precision. It is not enough to know what to say. You must know how to say it to whom, when, and in what manner. In a world filled with countless temperaments and desires, the master persuader moves like water, adaptable, discerning, and grounded in unshakable clarity. The Stoics taught that to live in accordance with nature was to recognize the uniqueness of every soul. Similarly, to persuade you must recognize the nature of the person before you and adapt without losing your own center. True persuasion flows from understanding the soul you're addressing, not forcing your truth upon them. When you encounter an analytical soul, one shaped by discipline and reason, you must honor their devotion to clarity. These are the minds that seek the bedrock beneath the surface. When you speak to them, you must lay your case stone by stone, offering facts as your currency, logic as your bridge. You cannot rush them, nor can you sway them with mere emotion. Patience is your virtue, precision your language. Speak with the steady calm of one who knows that truth needs no embellishment. If they ask for time to reflect, you grant it. For to force a decision upon an analytical mind is to ensure its rejection. They move when certainty has been earned, and so you offer them certainty in every word, every fact, every demonstration of cause and effect. Then there are the drivers, the souls of action and ambition. They are not moved by the slow unfolding of arguments, but by the swift realization of goals. For them, persuasion must be as direct as a blade's edge and as purposeful as a soldier's march. You must honor their time by dispensing with what is unnecessary and placing before them only what propels them forward. Show them outcomes, not processes. Highlight victories, not the battles it took to earn them, and most importantly, meet their strength with strength calm, composed, but unmistakably firm. They respect decisiveness. They recognize confidence. In speaking to the driver, you must become the embodiment of clarity and control, not by domination, but by discipline. The amiables among us are different altogether. Their world revolves not around conquest, but around connection. They are moved by trust, by harmony, by the reassurance that no action will shatter the bonds they hold dear. When you approach an amiable soul, your first mission is not to persuade, but to connect. Let them see that you value them not merely for what they can offer, but for who they are. Speak gently. Weave your words with care, showing always how your proposal nurtures rather than disrupts, how it strengthens rather than threatens. With them, logic alone is not enough. It must be clothed in compassion, dressed in assurances of shared well-being. You persuade an amiable, not by winning an argument, but by winning their heart. And then there are the expressives, the dreamers and visionaries. These are the ones who live not in the small daily march of facts, but in the grand sweep of possibility. They are not tethered by details, but carried aloft by visions of what could be. To move an expressive, you must paint pictures with your words. You must evoke feeling, not just thought. Speak to their highest aspirations. Ignite the flame of their ambitions and show them a path where their deepest dreams find wings. Tell stories that stir the soul. Share visions that dare to reach beyond the mundane. In your passion, they will find their own magnified. In your vision, they will see a mirror of their own hopes. To persuade an expressive is to inspire them and to walk beside them, even if only for a moment, into a future brighter than the present. Yet no soul is so easily categorized. People shift, change, and reveal different facets of themselves depending on the moment, the mood, the unseen currents of their lives. Thus, true mastery lies not merely in knowing these types, but in reading the unfolding text of each conversation. You must become a keen observer of body tone and spirit. When you see a mind growing restless with details, lift them into vision. When you see eyes clouded with doubt, descend into the solid ground of facts. When you sense hesitation born of fear, offer the hand of reassurance. When you feel ambition, yearning for a path, show the road clearly and without hesitation. The Stoic persuader adapts, not because he is unsure of himself, but because he honors the truth that each soul carries its own burdens and desires. He does not sacrifice his own values, but he adjusts his approach to meet the other where they are, knowing that respect is the first and greatest form of influence. The goal is not to manipulate, but to harmonize, not to conquer, but to align. You do not lose yourself in the dance. You master the steps so well that you lead without force and others follow, not because they are compelled, but because they trust you to guide them well. This practice demands discipline. In every encounter, observe keenly. Watch the subtle signs, the tightening of shoulders, the spark in the eyes, the shift in tone. Listen beneath the words for the silent music of hopes and fears. Adjust not your truth, but your delivery. Meet logic with logic, passion with passion, care with care, purpose with purpose. Practice seeing people as they are, not as you wish them to be. Practice speaking their language without abandoning your own. In your daily life, train yourself. Reflect after each conversation. Did I truly see the person before me? Did I offer what they needed to hear, not merely what I wanted to say? Imagine retelling your point in 4 different ways, once for the analyst, once for the driver, once for the amiable, once for the expressive notice. How your core message remains unchanged, yet the path it travels bends to meet the terrain, like water, like wind, like the wise traveler who knows the mountains yield not to force, but to patient, persistent shaping. At the end of the day, tailoring your approach to different personalities is not about changing who you are. It is about seeing others clearly, honoring their nature, and walking the flexible yet steadfast path that leads to true influence and lasting connection. Chapter 8. Emotional Intelligence, the secret to deep, lasting influence. Let's talk about the missing force behind so many failed conversations, forgotten arguments, and fractured relationships. It is not the absence of knowledge or the weakness of logic that breaks persuasion. It is the absence of emotional intelligence. True influence is not built on sharper facts or louder speeches. It is woven through the quiet mastery of one's own emotions and the deep understanding of the emotional worlds of others. Emotional intelligence in its purest form is the bridge between reason and connection, and the Stoics, though rarely speaking of it by name, lived by its disciplines. They taught that a man must know himself first, govern himself second, and extend understanding outward without losing the stillness of his own soul. In this chapter, we explore why emotional intelligence is not an accessory to persuasion, but its very backbone. The first pillar is self-awareness, the ability to observe one's own emotions without being swept away by them. In the heat of negotiation or conversation, frustrations and anxieties rise like sudden storms. The man who has not practiced self-awareness becomes their captive. The man who has becomes their master. Self-awareness is the internal sentinel that asks, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Is this feeling serving my purpose or steering me astray? Without it, one argues from insecurity, seeks approval out of fear, and lashes out when challenged. But with it, you notice your irritation as it rises and choose to respond with patience. You feel your hunger for validation and remember your higher goal. Truth, not ego. Next is self-regulation, the art of not becoming a slave to your first impulses. To feel anger is human. To choose not to act from anger is divine. Self-regulation does not suppress emotion. It disciplines it, channels it, transforms it into energy that serves rather than sabotages. In Persuasion, when faced with rejection, insult, or doubt, the man of self-regulation responds not with defense, but with inquiry, not with attack, but with understanding. He does not tremble before resistance, but leans into it with calmness, recognizing it as part of the natural order. He holds the line, not because he suppresses feeling, but because he has trained himself to master it. The third pillar is motivation, not in the shallow sense of ambition, but in the Stoic sense of inner purpose. True motivation comes not from the fleeting rewards of praise or success, but from the internal fire to fulfill one's nature, to pursue excellence for its own sake. A motivated persuader is relentless, not because he is desperate, but because he is faithful to his cause. Obstacles do not dissuade him, they merely sharpen his strategies. Rejection does not weaken him, it reminds him to refine his approach. His endurance is not fueled by vanity, but by a commitment to the good he seeks to bring forth in the world. Then comes empathy, the quiet superpower that allows you to see not just words, but wounds, not just arguments, but anxieties. To influence someone without empathy is to move a shadow, not a soul. Empathy lets you recognize that behind the objection is often fear, behind the aggression is often pain, and behind the hesitation is often hope seeking permission to live. The Stoic persuader listens not only to the words, but to the spaces between them. He asks, what need is this person revealing without saying it outright? What fear are they masking with bravado? By tuning into these unspoken truths, he speaks directly to the heart where true persuasion happens. The final pillar is social skill, the ability to navigate the intricate webs of human interaction with grace, clarity, and authenticity. High social skill is not manipulation. It is alignment with the natural currents of human connection. It is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to press and when to yield. It is reading the room not with calculation, but with care. It is moving from, what do I want to say, to what does this moment require of me? The master of social skill builds trust without forcing it, earns loyalty without demanding it, and creates an environment where persuasion feels not like conquest, but collaboration. Emotional intelligence is not inherited. It is cultivated through conscious practice. Self-awareness grows when you make it a habit to reflect daily. What did I feel today? Why did I feel it? How did it shape my actions? Self-regulation sharpens each time you pause before reacting, choosing to breathe, observe and respond from strength rather than reflex. Motivation deepens when you remind yourself that your mission matters more than your moods. Empathy strengthens every time you listen without needing to reply, every time you imagine walking in the other's shoes without judgment. Social skill refines with each conversation where you set aside your script and attune yourself fully to the living, breathing soul before you. The journey to emotional intelligence is endless because mastery over oneself and genuine connection to others are endless pursuits. But every step you take transforms you from a mere speaker of words into a true mover of hearts. It makes you a builder of bridges, a knitter of communities, a bringer of clarity into a world often clouded by misunderstanding. At the end of the day, emotional intelligence is the unseen architecture beneath every act of true persuasion. The disciplined soul speaking calmly across the turbulent seas of human emotion, the steady hand that lifts others not by force, but by understanding, leading them willingly toward the good they already secretly desired. Chapter 9. Storytelling, the persuasion tool that creates lasting impact. Let's talk about one of the most powerful forces ever wielded by those who shaped hearts, moved nations, and built legacies, the art of storytelling. In the realm of influence, logic alone rarely wins. The soul, facts may inform, but stories transform. From the earliest firesides of ancient tribes to the grand stages of history, the ones who could tell a story were the ones who led. The Stoics understood that human beings are not creatures of pure reason. We are beings of imagination, memory, and emotion. Storytelling is not a technique, it is a bridge, one that carries your ideas from your mind into the heart of another without resistance, without force. In this chapter, we uncover why stories persuade, how to craft them with precision, and how to wield them as your greatest tool for creating lasting change. When a story is told well, it awakens more than thought. It awakens experience. Neuroscience has revealed what the Stoics intuited, that the human brain does not merely listen to a story, it participates in it. The listener's mind lights up as if they were living the events themselves. Their guard drops. Their skepticism softens. Empathy ignites. The story becomes their story. And when you create such a bond, persuasion ceases to be a battle and becomes a natural evolution, The listener is no longer defending themselves against your ideas. They are walking alongside you, living the transformation you offer. A powerful story begins with a relatable protagonist, a figure in whom the audience sees their own fears, hopes and struggles reflected. In the art of persuasion, this protagonist is often you or someone whose journey mirrors the journey your listener yearns to take. The protagonist need not be perfect. In fact, their flaws are their power. A story that begins with triumph is forgettable. A story that begins with struggle, that begins where your audience stands right now, becomes a mirror. Every compelling story demands conflict, the obstacle that threatens the protagonist's dreams, the storm that tests their will. Without conflict, there is no growth, and without growth, there is no transformation. In persuasion, the conflict mirrors the problem your audience faces. It might be a fear of failure, a burden of inefficiency, a hunger for meaning. The greater the conflict, the greater the emotional pull, and the greater the stakes of the journey you invite them to undertake. The story must then offer a transformation, not a miracle, but a hard-won victory. The protagonist discovers a solution, a new path, a truth that reshapes their life. This is not merely about winning, it is about becoming. In your persuasive efforts, the transformation must feel attainable. It must whisper to your audience, this too can be you, your product, your idea, your vision. These are not external to their journey. They are the missing piece that allows the transformation to happen. Emotion is the lifeblood of storytelling. Without emotional resonance, even the most brilliant plot will fall flat. People do not act from dry calculation. They act from what moves their spirit. The most persuasive stories stir emotions of hope, relief, pride, belonging, courage, emotions that propel action without the need for pressure. A well-told story plants a seed in the heart that continues to grow long after the words have faded. And finally, a story must lead to action. After walking your audience through the journey, after letting them feel the trials and taste the triumphs, you must offer a bridge back to their own life. Here is the next step. You must say, not as a demand, but as a natural extension of the path they have already begun walking with you. The call to action must not feel like a departure from the story. It must feel like its inevitable conclusion. Crafting such a story demands discipline. First, you must know your audience intimately, their fears, their dreams, their hidden struggles. You must understand these not as abstract data points, but as living, breathing realities. Then you must define the core message you seek to leave with them, a truth so clear that every element of the story points toward it. You must structure the narrative like a craftsman builds a bridge. Introduction, conflict, struggle, turning point, resolution, call to action. Each part must flow into the next with natural ease. As you weave the story, remember to infuse it with genuine emotion. Let the pain be real, the doubt palpable, the triumph hard-earned. Do not present yourself or your protagonist as a flawless hero. Present them as a fellow traveler, one who fell, doubted, feared, but rose nevertheless. In this humility, you build a bond stronger than any sales pitch could create. When delivering your story, embody it. Let your voice, your posture, your very presence carry the emotional weight of the journey. Pause at the moments of tension. Lift your energy in the moments of breakthrough. Speak not at your audience, but with them. Make them feel that they are not listening to a story, they are living it. Storytelling is not reserved for grand speeches or staged presentations. It belongs in every conversation where trust must be built, where minds must be opened, where hearts must be moved. Whether you're guiding a client to see a new possibility, inspiring a colleague to embrace a change, or leading a team toward a shared vision, storytelling is your unseen hand, guiding, encouraging, transforming. At the end of the day, mastering storytelling is mastering the oldest and most enduring form of persuasion, the invitation to walk together through struggle into triumph, to move not through force, but through shared experience, and to leave behind not just agreement, but a lasting mark upon the heart. Chapter 10. Becoming a Master of Persuasion. Let's talk about what it truly means to master the art of influence, not as a mere tactic for winning fleeting victories, but as a way of life, a philosophy of interaction that endures long after the words have faded. True persuasion is not about winning arguments or manipulating outcomes. It is about becoming the kind of person whose presence alone invites trust, whose words plant seeds that grow in the minds and hearts of others long after the conversation ends. It is about building influence rooted in character, patience, and wisdom. The Stoics taught us that the highest form of power is self-mastery, and in mastering ourselves, we naturally gain influence over others without ever having to force it. In this final chapter, we explore how to weave all the principles of persuasion into the fabric of daily life, so that you do not merely act persuasively, you become persuasive. The cornerstone of lasting influence is trust. Without trust, persuasion is a brittle structure, easily shattered by doubt and suspicion. With trust, even imperfect arguments are forgiven, and even difficult requests are considered with an open mind. Trust is not demanded. It is earned through authenticity, consistency, and care. It grows quietly like a tree, nurtured by countless small acts of integrity, promises kept, truths spoken, needs considered. To build trust, you must show that your interest lies not merely in your own gain, but in the genuine well-being of others. You must become known as the one who sees, listens, and acts with honor. Beyond trust lies the creation of a win-win dynamic, a way of relating to others where persuasion is not a zero-sum game, but a mutual assent. The Stoic persuader seeks not to dominate, but to align interests to find the intersection between his aims and the aims of others. He understands that true influence arises when both parties feel they have gained, when cooperation replaces coercion, and when respect weaves itself into the very fabric of the agreement. To create this dynamic, you must practice empathy, not as a strategy, but as a natural extension of your character. You must seek first to understand, then to propose a path that serves all involved. Consistency is the quiet architect of influence. It is easy to inspire trust for a moment. It is harder to sustain it across seasons. Those who wish to wield lasting influence must live their philosophy every day, in every action, in every small, unnoticed choice. Consistency means that your promises are not empty words, but unbreakable bonds. It means that when you speak, others listen, not because of the force of your argument, but because of the weight of your character. Consistency turns fleeting persuasion into enduring respect, and respect into influence that does not waver with the winds of circumstance. Mastering persuasion also demands an understanding of the invisible architecture of human decision-making, the subtle forces that guide choices beneath the surface of awareness. The Stoics, masters of observing human nature, would advise that people act not from pure reason, but from deep-seated desires, fears, and instincts. Recognizing this, the persuader does not merely speak to the intellect, he speaks to the spirit. He understands principles like reciprocity, the natural inclination to return goodwill with goodwill, and uses them not to manipulate, but to nurture relationships. He understands that social proof, the quiet assurance that others have walked this path safely, can calm the anxious mind. By aligning his message with these natural currents, he makes agreement, not a concession, but a natural and welcome step. True persuasion is not reserved for grand speeches or pivotal negotiations. It happens in the small exchanges of daily life, the quiet moments of encouragement, the patient guidance of a colleague, the empathetic listening of a friend. The master persuader sees every interaction as an opportunity to strengthen bonds, to build understanding, to align energies toward shared good. He does not wield influence as a weapon. He carries it as a gift, offering clarity and connection wherever he goes. To grow into this mastery, you must embrace continuous improvement. The path does not end with the learning of techniques. It begins there. Like any virtue, persuasion must be practiced, refined, and lived. Reflect often. Did I listen today with full presence? Did I seek the other's good as well as my own? Did my words sow seeds of trust or seeds of doubt? Learn from those who excel in the art. Observe not just what they say, but how they make others feel seen, valued, and empowered. Sharpen your awareness not only of others, but of yourself, your impulses, your habits, your silent motives. Mastery is not a destination. It is a discipline of daily life. Above all, remember the goal of persuasion is not merely to achieve agreement, but to elevate both yourself and others. When you persuade rightly, you help others see truths they had not seen, find courage they had not summoned, achieve growth they had not dared hope for. You become not a manipulator of decisions, but a cultivator of souls. At the end of the day, becoming a master of persuasion is not about wielding power over others. It is about mastering yourself so fully that your very presence becomes a quiet force for trust, for wisdom, and for transformation in the lives you touch. Now comes the real journey, the quiet discipline of applying what you've learned. Whether you're leading a team, negotiating a crucial deal, or simply reaching out to someone you care about, remember every word, every gesture, every pause carries the power to influence, not by force, but by understanding. With clarity, confidence, and a spirit of empathy, you won't just persuade, you'll build bridges that endure. Mastery isn't born from a single moment. It is shaped through practice, through reflection, through the patient commitment to become someone others instinctively trust, respect, and turn to when it matters most. You already carry that potential. All that remains is to step forward and live it fully. If today's message resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe so we can keep walking this path of mastery together. And before you go, leave a comment below with just 2 words: I'm ready. A quiet promise to yourself that your next chapter begins now. Stay inspired, stay intentional, and get ready, because what's ahead will take everything you've learned here and lift it to a whole new level. See you in